Welcome back, trainers. With PvP released, this is amazing. I'm having a blast. I stayed up until about 4 a.m. battling people, so I got very little sleep. And now I'm back at it to talk to you about what I discovered and the little things that you need to know as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about quick moves on your Pokemon. So since I did quite a few battles, I now know that using your quick move is going to be one of the most valuable moves to go up against your opponent to do as much damage as possible. And also something to take note of, if you're in and out of the app, checking Discord, trying to coordinate with somebody to battle, or Facebook or whatever other app you're trying to use, because there is no in-game chat to figure out which league do you want to do, legendaries, no legendaries, rules like that, because going into these battles it's just completely blind. You can pick multiple of the same Pokemon. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is if you're in and out of the app and then challenge somebody to a PvP match without restarting your app and refreshing it, you're going to be behind on damage. The opponent's going to get their charge move up quicker, and they're going to be able to get a few more quick moves in before you even get damage onto them to begin with. So make sure you restart your app if you're continuously in and out. Yes, I know it may be a pain because you're trying to coordinate with them in the first place to figure out what you want to do, but if you just receive an invite right off the bat, you didn't have to talk to them, and you just go into the battle and you didn't exit out of your app, you should be perfect. Alright, next tip is if you have your charge move and it is ready to go, and you're sitting there using your quick move thinking to yourself, well, do I really need to use this right now? I could possibly save this. I have plenty of health. The opponent's Pokemon is almost down and they're about to switch into their next one. I think I'm going to hold off on this. That is going to be in your best interest because your charge moves do stack, as a matter of fact. So if you get that Hydro Cannon all the way charged up and then you're still using your Water Gun like crazy for another, I don't know, 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you might just get that second Hydro Cannon all the way charged up, so you're gonna have two ready to go. I thought this was a bug, but come to find out it's actually a real feature. So that is something to take note of, especially if you're using that extremely nice quick move like we were discussing earlier, Water Gun being one of these. Righty, so next up is going to be charge move, coverage moves. So those are going to be things that you're going to be able to do super effective damage to that you're going to be weak against. For instance, this Infernape is going to be weak to water. Simple, fire. And it has Solar Beam. That's going to be doing massive damage to that water type Pokemon. Alright, now it's going to take a little bit longer to charge it up compared to close combat. Now let's talk about, is it going to be worth you waiting for that? Because I found myself most of the times in these situations going up against other Pokemon, say if you don't want to use your shield or you don't have any more shields left, and you're waiting for that Solar Beam or that counter move to charge up. By the time it's actually charged up, your Pokemon is going to be fainted, and that close combat was already ready for about, I don't know, 3 seconds before that Solar Beam, and you could have done damage before you fainted. So that is a little tip. If you're thinking you just got to wait a few more seconds to get that super effective charge move off, I highly recommend you just go for the one that's ready to go. One, you're either going to wear down their shield or put on damage to that Pokemon that you're going up against before you faint. Because I also found myself several times having my Pokemon faint, waiting for that next charge move to go up, as opposed to the one that is already ready, and then I just faint, and I don't even use any charge moves at all. So keep that in mind as well. You don't have to always wait for the best move. You should probably use the one that is already ready to go sometimes. Also, shout out to Holly and Prodigious Nation. I did go up against both of them, and Prodigious Nation actually beat me, as we were discussing the thing where you're going in and out of the app, and then they get the damage onto you first. You're going to see that. It was a good battle, and I'm not making excuses or nothing. Just keep in mind, if you're trying to go up against somebody that you're thinking, man, I've been waiting to battle them for a long time, make sure everything is cleared up so you can do the best that you can do. Anyways, let's go ahead and discuss the secondary charge move. And should you be purchasing this on all of your Pokemon, or the ones that you're finding valuable for your team? And for this instance, we have Outrage and Hydro Pump. Alright, so that Outrage is going to be doing not very effective damage to what? Fairy and Steel types. Okay, so if I have Hydro Pump, I'm going to be able to do that to them. Is that really worth it? Is that really worth the price that it costs to do a little bit more damage to a Fairy and Steel type? Now obviously for other Pokemon it's going to be a different situation, but right here I could have probably gone without buying that, okay? Just to let you know there. Yes, I'm going to be able to do a lot of damage to, you know, rock and ground types and anything else weak to water, but other than that, it's not really worth it, and Outrage could have just done the trick beautifully. All right, we have Rosa right here. I'm going to give you an example as to when it should be a good time to use that super effective charge move for that coverage. So you're going up against a Rhyperior. You have no shields, they have no shields. Anything they're going to be doing, you know on that Pokemon is not going to be super effective. Even if they hit you with one of their strongest moves, Stone Edge, you should be able to survive it. Although if they do have Smackdown, that is not going to be super effective, not doing that much damage to your Roserade, but it might take you down to enough health to where they hit you with that Stone Edge, it might knock you out. So what I'm trying to get at is, should you use that Sludge Bomb or that Solar Beam? I highly recommend in this situation that you wait for that Solar Beam so you can just take them out in one hit, seeing that they have no shields, and that's going to be a very strong move going up against that Rock and Ground type. So it's coverage moves like that that you need to think about that will benefit your Pokemon over having just another charge move just because you want to have it on your Pokemon. Now, Gardevoir is a great example as a Pokemon that has an amazing coverage move for it, Shadow Ball. That is not going to take that much to charge it up. Say you're going up against something like a Metagross. You're going to be able to hit it with Stab there pretty much the same time as that Dazzling Gleam getting charged up. But something to take note of is if you are going up against a Metagross with a Gardevoir, ooh, that Bullet Punch is going to take you out so quick. I'm telling you, the quick moves are key. Super effective attacks are actually buffed. Yes, they have been buffed, so they are doing more damage within the game now. They actually matter a little bit more, which is great. Alright, now let's talk about when you should be using your shields. If you're using them when you have a sliver of health left, that is probably not within your best interest. Now, if you have a massively strong charge move, say Solar Beam for instance, and a Typhlosion right there with that little health, and you wanted to preserve it, I suppose you can use your shield and then as soon as you get out, use that Solar Beam. But keep in mind, your opponent is constantly tapping the screen. And as soon as you're out of that shield, I don't know if you're going to have the opportunity to push that. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Also, take note, let's go ahead and look at what I was talking about. When you go out of the app, into the app, and back in and all that stuff, this is what happens when you first start the battle. Now, we're both tapping the screen, both Venusaur. See him going to town already? I wasn't able to tap because when you go in and out of the app, you're going to be about 2 seconds behind at first, and you're not going to accumulate the damage and your charge move. So make sure you take note of that. If you're going up against somebody you really want to win against, or you're just having a competitive battle, restart your app and make sure everything is cleared out. Now, I'm not talking clear cache or anything, just refresh it. And you should also take note that tapping the screen continuously is going to be within your best interest as well. And you need to look out for that shield because you could be tapping away and then accidentally hit your shield, which I've done in several occasions, and it's not a good thing because a lot of times you'll be using it when you really didn't have to up against a Pokemon that was not doing very effective damage, and you could have simply took that charge move with ease, but you used your shield when you could have saved it for something later down the line. And if you stop tapping that screen for a second and you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's not going to hurt my damage output much, oh, it will. Continuously tapping on that screen is going to make it so the opponent's always taking damage. Even as they're entering the fight, did you see that? Before they hit the ground, you can put on damage to that Pokemon. Niantic, if you're watching this, is that the way it should be? I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, hey, maybe this should be fixed a little bit because I think it's kind of a little cheap that you can hit your opponents before they actually hit the ground, because any sliver of health is going to help. There's been situations where I've had literally just a tiny little sliver of health on my Kangaskhan, and I was able to get that crunch off, and that was the win right there. So yeah, make sure you're continuously tapping the screen to hurt your opponent. So even when they're starting to enter the battle, still tap that screen. So as we can see here, I do have 8,050,000 Stardust because I did spend over 2 million Stardust setting up my Pokemon. I'll admit that I did go a little bit crazy and probably overspent on things I really didn't need to. I just was very excited. And one of the situation may be this right here, although it's not the worst setup or anything. We have Waterfall, Blizzard, and then Flash Cannon. So we have a pretty good amount of coverage. We can take out dragons and flying types, as well as ground and rock and fire. And then we have some of that coverage for fairy and rock. So I mean, it's not looking horrible for this thing, but I don't know. It's not really necessary to give all of your Pokemon a 2 charge move currently. I mean, later on, I'd say go for it, but spending all your Stardust right now to do this in candies may not be in your best interest, unless the Pokemon has a great coverage move. If they're a good standalone Pokemon, then just roll with it. Otherwise, just hold off. If you don't know their movesets, I suppose just look them up online. One of my suggestions that are safe to go with, I suppose now, is going to be Wild Charge and then that Fire Blast Arcanine. That's going to be amazing coverage, and if you do have that Drill Run Arcanine, I think you're holding something very valuable, because I went up against my friend who had one yesterday, Arcanine versus Arcanine, and well, he had the upper hand. Okay, so we have a very nice chart here made by the Go Hub. This is going to show you the cost for the secondary moves. Now, for the 1 kilometer distance Pokemon, that is going to be 10,000 Stardust and 25 candies to get that secondary move. For 3 kilometer Pokemon, that is going to be 50,000 Stardust and 50 candies. For the 5 kilometer Pokemon, it's going to be 75,000 Stardust and then 75 candies. 20 kilometer Pokemon, 100,000 Stardust and 100 candies. So there you go. And a very nice tip for you to know is when they're in their baby forms or in their smaller stages, you can simply add on that secondary move for a much cheaper cost and then go ahead and evolve it up. But also something to take note of is that it will be randomized, so if you don't get the move you want, you will have to TM it anyways. You will also be able to use your secondary move that you paid for to go up against gyms and raids. So you'll have 2 charge moves when you go up against those now. Should be very nice and fun to see what we can do with these raids. Not so much the gym battles. I guess you're going to have more coverage. It's not going to be so much switching back and forth. You can just take care of business more with one Pokemon. But for the most part, I'm just focused on the PvP and just learning the mechanics to the best that I can right now. Alrighty, trainers. So before we head out, just want to say the charge moves that take less time to charge up obviously are going to be within your best interest to use. So one big charge bar is going to be great. It's going to be doing a lot of damage, but those are going to be the ones you want to do once the opponent has kind of wore down their shields and you know they're not going to use them again, because that is quite the energy gain to get up there to just have them block it, as opposed to the Dark Pulse where you can just keep getting them off and then wear their shield down, and then once you know it's gone, then you hit them with the big heavy moves like Sludge Wave, Solar Beam, Fire Blast, Blizzard, Hydro Pump, things like that. But these are just my smaller tips, and I'm not saying don't use those moves right off the bat. Go ahead and do what you got to do. But if you have a smaller charge bar right next to those, you're going to be able to wear their shield down. Then after that, just go to work on them, right? So I'm going to be bringing you some more intense battles. I am still learning the mechanics, so if I'm not winning 100% of the time, I'm not a god over here, okay, guys? So I will be bringing you some more battles later on, guys. Of course, I'm not going to win everything. Still learning the mechanics, still having fun with different Pokemon combinations and teams, and we'll see what we can do in the future. And with that said, I want to say thank you for watching. I can't wait to go and do some more battles and bring them to you later. Take care, trainers.